Now at 6, two men racing on bikes in southern Utah hit by a car. Today, police identify the brothers killed in that crash. Plus,
we'll do everything in my power to crack down on gun trafficking.
A new regulation will be the first of its kind in 50 years. What are ghost guns and why the Biden administration is taking action against them? And this week marks 7 years since a family last saw their daughter alive, and her killer is still at large. How the family is taking their daughter's disappearance into their own hands.
Live, we're there for you. ABC4 News at 6 starts now.
And good evening, I'm Emily Flores.
And I'm Jordan Burrows in for Glenn Mills. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes, we do begin with a live look outside at the Flying J truck stop off of I-80. Hopefully we can get that shot. This is in Tooele. At this point, dozens of trucks are pulled off of the road there. High wind warnings are in place. They're stopping to escape. Here we have it, that wind. And also they're stopping to get their vehicles from tipping over.
And we know so many times that these trucks are tipping over because of high winds. Of course, we have our chief meteorologist, Alana Brophy, who's tracking those winds and much more. Hi, Alana.
Hi, friends. That area in particular under a wind advisory has been since noon. So we know they've been dealing with gusty winds and reduced visibility. Next layer of the storm is here. You're taking that live look at Cache Valley where the rain's coming down. We just saw someone walk by with their umbrella. No surprise because that wet weather filling in rather quickly as we get through the evening. Storm tracker radar gets pinpoint here and you see that green. It's a swath of moisture. Showers now filling in with snow up there in the high country. We're keeping our eye on Elko where the snow is falling because we know a cold front will come through and switch this rain over and bring the potential for some mixed precipitation and snowy conditions. In the south, it's the wind. It's still wicked down there. Live look from our Dixie Tech camera. Reduced visibility with that blowing dust. We've seen wind gusts in the area clocking between 30 and 40 miles per hour. 44 in the last hour. 47 in Delta. Look at Milford and Cedar City. That's the latest spot where a high wind warning has been issued until midnight. You can see now Castle Country gusting up to 62 miles per hour. The red line's indicating the southerly winds, and now we're starting to see the wind direction shift in the north as that cold front approaches. Taking a look at those current advisories and warnings, this is the new one. It holds through midnight from Millard, Juab, and parts of Iron County, and then down there in south central Utah and heading over towards western Canyonlands in the Hanksville area. That high wind warning holds. What you're seeing in tan, well, that, my friends, is a wind advisory, and we've seen the one up there in the West Desert in effect since noon. So the winds started things off. Then we got that wet weather moving in, and now, how about some snow? Live look at Cherry Peak where snow has coated the camera because with the winds we get blowing snow potential. Where those showers are headed, coming up in my full forecast in just a few moments. Jordan, Emily, over to you.
Thank you, Alana. With the spring storm headed this way, the National Weather Service is issuing a winter storm warning in parts of the state. And with the storm, of course, comes avalanche danger. ABC4's Lena Takata joins us live from the mouth of Big Cottonwood Canyon, where heavy snowfall is expected in higher elevation areas overnight. Lena?
Jordan, with the recent warm weather, many outdoor enthusiasts we talked with said they had already put their skis away, brought out the mountain bikes and the running shoes. But with several inches of snow in the forecast, some of them said they might have to bring the skis back out for a last hurrah. Craig Gordon, an avalanche forecaster with the Utah Avalanche Center, says while avalanche risk is low or moderate in most parts of the state as of right now, conditions in Big and Little Cottonwood Canyon may change quickly. As snow falls overnight, avalanche danger is expected to ramp up, which means human-triggered avalanches become more likely.
The types of avalanches we're going to be dealing with are going to be a little more straightforward and predictable because they're going to be resting on a hard old snow surface. Not like we see mid-season where things break into deeper layers.
Gordon also says that higher elevation areas in Little and Big Cottonwood Canyon could see more than a foot of snow overnight. We'll have more on this story tonight at 10. Live at the mouth of Big Cottonwood Canyon, Lena Takata, ABC4 News.
All right, thank you so much, Lena. Well, speaking of severe weather, a new report finds cyclones in Southeast Africa are getting worse, and weather scientists say it's because of climate change. 3 tropical cyclones just this year pummeling Madagascar, Malawi, and Mozambique back to back. These storms leaving 230 people dead and displacing hundreds of thousands across the region there. Climate scientists say the warming temperatures make heavier rain during the storms more likely, intensifying conditions and the storm's impact.
A man is now facing 9 charges after allegedly firing a gun at 4 people. According to police documents, 4 bystanders tried to intervene when a fight between a couple got physical Saturday. The couple got in a car to leave the apartment complex parking lot, and as they drove away, Danielle Martinez Rodriguez fired 5 shots at the onlookers, all of the shots missing them. A ways down the road, the couple crashed their car and they ran away from the scene. A Taylorsville police officer report finds Martinez Rodriguez, and they said that he was smelling of alcohol in the 20-year-old's breath before booking him into jail.
Well, the Biden administration announcing a new crackdown on so-called ghost guns. They're privately made, untraceable weapons. Some law enforcement groups saying that minors and those who aren't authorized to have a firearm can easily buy and assemble ghost gun kits, helping fuel the spike in gun violence nationwide.
You can order these on the internet. It takes some very simple machining, and you put it together, and it works just like a regular firearm.
Just this past Friday, police in New York say a teenager using a build-it-yourself ghost gun opened fire near a high school in the Bronx area, killing a 16-year-old girl. Now, the new rule would require manufacturers and dealers who sell ghost gun kits and parts to be licensed by the federal government and run a background check before any sale. And in an update this evening, prosecutors charge a man for allegedly hitting a motorcyclist intentionally with his car. Jarring video here. If you haven't seen it, it might be disturbing. The Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office saying it shows 34-year-old Kenneth Cordova slamming into a man on his motorcycle. Then Cordova allegedly gets out of the car and strikes the victim once again. Cordova faces a first-degree attempted murder charge and obstruction of justice.
Washington City Police have identified the 2 brothers killed in a fatal crash over the weekend. Police say 48-year-old Matthew Ballard and 49-year-old Adam Ballard are from California. On Saturday, the brothers were competing in a bike race when a Hurricane woman allegedly hit them on a road near the Washington County landfill. Washington City Police say 47-year-old Julie Ann Budge told them a medical issue caused her to swerve and hit the 2 cyclists. She's facing charges including automobile homicide, DUI, and failure to remain at an accident, among others. Outdoor enthusiasts have around 12 miles of new trails to look forward to. Salt Lake County and Rio Tinto are partnering to bring in 17 acres of land for more multi-user trails in Rose, Yellow Fork, and Butterfield Canyons. This land adds on to the Salt Lake County's acquirement of 94 acres of Butterfield Canyon land in March. Previously, the land was closed to the public, but officials hope hikers and bikers will use the new trails, especially to explore outside that southwest region of the county.
Still ahead, a startling development in the case involving Lori Vallow Daybell. What lies ahead for the woman facing murder charges?
And the Utah Jazz and the Dallas Mavericks are getting ready for their first round of their playoff matchup. Wesley Ruff will have a preview coming up a little later in sports.
And the winds are whipping in the southern portion of the state. That's a live look at Blanding, where you can see the grass on the Utah State University campus really blowing. The trees are moving. That light pole just moved. Wind advisory in effect, high wind warning, and now the wet weather has arrived. Where it's headed in Utah's most accurate forecast.
Welcome back. Elizabeth Salgado's family is seeking help from members of their church. This week marks the 7th anniversary of their daughter's disappearance.
Yeah, her remains were found 3 years later, but her killer has yet to be found. For every crime, there's a story in The Truth Matters. Here's ABC4 senior crime and punishment correspondent Marcos Ortiz with tonight's Justice Files.
The Salgado family believes someone close to her killed her, but their own private investigator isn't so sure of that.
How come a country that has all the technology in the world, they haven't been able to catch whoever killed my niece?
It's a question the Salgados keep wondering as the mystery behind Elizabeth Salgado's murder goes unanswered. She disappeared in broad daylight in 2015. She was walking home from her language school in Provo. 3 years later, her remains were discovered in a shallow grave in Hobble Creek Canyon in Utah County.
Why is it taking too long, for them to actually solve this murder? And we know that if it would have been the president's daughter, this has been already resolved.
A spokesman for the Utah County Sheriff's Office says the case remains active and they still get leads, but so far it hasn't resulted in a suspect. On Facebook, Elizabeth's mother reached out to members of her daughter's YSA ward in Provo asking, please be supportive, and who my daughter Elizabeth was related to, meaning who did she befriend. And her mother also targets her church friend, Mackie Smith, who moved away after she disappeared. Her uncle says Elizabeth liked young white men.
She was very attracted to white people. She was very, very attracted. Like every time she would see a white guy, she was like always excited about it.
Their family hired their own private investigator. He isn't convinced Smith was involved.
He was very helpful to come forward and really help with getting the message out, and we want to clear him as well. According to him, he only hung out with her 2 or 3 times.
Jensen says a construction project was in progress when Salgado disappeared. Salgado passed that site each day she walked to school.
There was a report of somebody that worked there that said he thought co-workers may have done something.
It's approaching 7 years that the family last heard from Salgado. They only hope justice will soon come their way.
Our family is not doing good, and until we actually get some closure and find out what really happened.
Anyone with information, especially those from her own church ward, are urged to contact authorities or the private investigator. Visit our website, abc4.com, click on this story, follow the links to those contacts. For the Justice Files, Marcos Ortiz, ABC4 News.
Time now for the Mountain West Minute and a snapshot of the stories making headlines across the region. In East Idaho, Lori Vallow Daybell will face a jury trial on murder charges. This after a judge deems Daybell competent to stand trial and orders her release from a health and welfare facility. Daybell and her husband Chad are facing murder and conspiracy charges in the deaths of 2 of Lori's children and Chad's first wife. They have a hearing April 19th. Also, federal officials say they'll no longer pay for services at Montana State's psychiatric hospital. Officials citing patients' deaths and a violent assault last month between unsupervised patients as the reason they are stopping Medicare and Medicaid reimbursements for new patients. The facility says staffing shortages are the reason for the incidents. High levels of fire dangers continue today in southern Colorado after 4 wildfires broke out yesterday. The wildfires forced evacuations in El Paso, Teller, Pueblo, and Morgan counties, ranging in size from 3 to 38 acres. The only fire in the north started because of a blown transformer. The heavy smoke caused a 3-car crash.
Time now for Utah's most accurate forecast with Alana Brophy. Weather rates certified 11 years in a row.
All right, and to check out all the weather action we have here happening at home, let's head over for Alana for a look at the weather.
Hi, friends. We've got those changes to start off the work week, and we're taking that live look from Logan. I like this camera because you're actually seeing some snow mixing in with the rain. We've got rain running through the streets, and people have been carrying their umbrellas, but we've watched even some graupel bounce off the building there. So not a surprise, thunderstorm threat is out there. Taking a look at the storm tracker radar, it shows you exactly where that moisture is. We're watching it move right over the Great Salt Lake, and we know Cache Valley, Weber County, now starting to see that rain in our valleys, filling in Utah County. In the mountains, it's snow, and it's going to be heavy snow as we get through the next 12 hours. You'll notice southern Idaho and over in Elko, it is snow. A cold front is approaching, and that's going to change things up. Today, we've battled those wicked winds. They mean business, and our wind warnings, well, they're going to hold as we get through midnight and even into the early morning hours for parts of the state. We're tracking that wet weather, where it's headed. We're going to look at the winter alerts and the impacts coming your way. I know you've got commutes to plan, so got to be ready. Oak City camera blowing dust. High wind warning in this area, and this visibility that's reduced here is due to the fact that we've got very strong winds and the dust kicking around. Any loose objects obviously will also be blown around. Power outages possible. That's one of the portions of the state where we are seeing wind gusts in the 60-mile-per-hour range. Look at Cedar City, clocking a 64-mile-per-hour gust. Price also in that arena, 52 miles per hour in Moab. Even along the Wasatch Front, we've seen some healthy winds, and that will continue as the front comes through. Why is this happening? Well, it's an area of low pressure that's digging through the desert southwest and then will lift to the northeast as we head into our Tuesday. It does bring the chance of our next element of the storm, wet weather, which we're seeing in the north. It's rain, but it's going to be snow in the high country, and we're going to see snow mixing in our valleys. Yes, you have spring snow potential as we get through tonight and into tomorrow. In pink, we've got a winter storm warning. That includes the Wasatch and the Uintas, 1 to 2 feet possible. In purple, winter weather advisory. That's for the central mountains over towards the western Uinta Basin, and we know those areas picking up 5 to 10 inches. Winter driving conditions expected in the high country. Mountain routes will be tough, so you have to be ready for it. Parleys could get a little sloppy too. Not a surprise as the storm system's on the move. Satellite radar shows us that front knocking on the door. Behind the front, colder air, and that's where we're going to see that rain transition to snow. Also, don't be surprised if you see some lightning or hear some thunder. The threat of a thunderstorm from Logan all the way to Beaver today. Heading into tomorrow, it shifts to the eastern side of the state, still over the mountains, but vernal all the way down to Moab. Could see the potential of thunderstorm activity as this moisture moves through. Here's the front. Where's it going? We watch as it kind of slides in. By ABC4 News at 10, we've got cold air, and the winds have switched directions. So you can see that swath of moisture on the model, bringing in snow potential. Some areas will see mixed. That includes there in Utah County, but other spots will see straight road slush and snow, and that continues to track east as we get into the early morning hours. Eastern Utah taps into that for Grand County. A little bit of a break. Don't be fooled. We've got that northwesterly flow. It's going to be cold, and snow showers will continue. It's going to keep falling in the mountains, and we get showery throughout the afternoon for tomorrow in the northern and central portions of the state. We stay unsettled with snow showers expected for our Tuesday and into Wednesday. We don't even get much of a break for Thursday. We do see lapses in the activity, but the chance of moisture will stick around. Snow totals in spring. It's April. Snow totals. Northern valleys trace to 4 to 8 in our mountain valley, southwestern Wyoming. Underneath that winter weather advisory, 5 to 10 inches, 1 to 2 feet. Up there in the Cottonwoods and the northern mountains, southern mountains will get some snow. Below average for tomorrow, the system brings in way colder air, 30s and 40s, 50 in Moab, 56 in St. George. Now there is a chance we get some wet weather down there in Washington County to start off our Tuesday, clearing by the afternoon. The winds still crank for the next 7 down there in St. George. Here's the Wasatch Front. Boy, those snow showers mean business, and we're only going to see highs in the low 40s for the next 2 days. Staying unsettled through the weekend when another system will clip the state, bringing some rain at that point. A little bit of everything. It's a weather buffet, and it's happening now. Serve yourself. Jordan, Emily, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Alana. Of course, now we got to head to sports.
Yes, with our Wesley Ruff, and this is what you play for, Wes.
What we waited for, 82 games done now. The regular season is over, and now things get serious. The Utah Jazz will open the playoffs Saturday morning at Dallas against the 4th-seeded Mavericks. The Jazz wrapped up the regular season last night with a win over the Blazers in Portland, and now all their attention turns to the Mavericks.
We know it's going to be a tough matchup. Dallas is a really good team. They've been playing really well this year, and I'm sure we'll be, spinning our wheels trying to figure out different ways to attack and defend and all that. But we're excited. We are excited because it's the best time of year.
I thought this year was really a great learning experience for all of us, and I think all those challenges that we face really made us better and prepared us better for what's coming next week.
They're a very solid team that plays excellent team defense. They're well coached, and they've got an elite player, which is something in the playoffs that's always, always unique.
The elite player that Snyder is referring to is, of course, Luka Doncic. He's not only the best player on the Mavericks team, he's one of the top players in the league. This year he averaged 28 points, 9 rebounds, nearly 9 assists per game. He scored over 30 points in the last 2 games against the Jazz. But last night against the Spurs, Doncic tweaked his calf and he left the game. He had an MRI today, was seen walking in a boot. So far, no injury update has been issued. But regardless, the Mavs are still a pretty good team.
Injury is part of the game. Absence is a part of the game. So we'll see how he feels. The nice thing is we have one home court, so we don't have to travel, and a week until we play.
For some reason, I feel like he'll be ready to go. Knowing the competitor he is, I feel like he'll be ready. Unfortunate, but I mean, a competitor like that, you can't keep down for long.
He's a good one. University of Utah gymnastics team will compete in nationals this week. They'll be looking for their first national championship since 1995. The Red Rocks are seeded 4th. They'll be in the afternoon session Thursday with top-seeded Oklahoma, number 5 Alabama, number 8 Minnesota. Now the Utes will need to finish in the top 2 on Thursday to advance to Saturday's finals. Utah will also have a lot of freshmen competing, but most of them have been on the big stage before, like the Olympics, so this shouldn't faze them.
I think it definitely helps, but even though I've been on a big stage before, it's two completely different kinds of pressure. Elite's very individual, where this is all about the team, and so I think it's very different, but it definitely helps being on a big stage before.
You know, they've been on the biggest stage, Kara, Grace, Emily, and I know they're excited about the opportunity to represent the University of Utah at the national championships.
That will be a fun one. As I mentioned, they have to finish in the top 2 on Thursday to advance to Saturday's NCAA championship, which, by the way, will be televised live right here on ABC4.
On
That's
ABC4.
right. Thank you for plugging
Wes.
in, Wes. We appreciate it.
Coming up, a high schooler with dreams of leading her school's marching band faces a unique challenge.
And don't forget, for breaking in local live streaming news, just scan the QR code you see right there on your screen. That'll take you to the App Store where you can download the ABC4 News app. Staying informed has never been easier. ABC4 News is there for you.
One high school senior is ending an 8-year music career on a high note. Born deaf, doctors gave Leah St. Clair a cochlear implant. And she says she didn't give her hearing impairment another thought until getting involved with band.
Okay, that's when Leah began noticing she couldn't hear higher notes, but the low notes, they were music to her ears. Undeterred, Leah sets her sights on becoming the leader of the marching band, the drum major. And not only did she get the title, but at a marching band competition, officials named her best in class drum major. There are people that just cannot be deterred from their goals. Yes.
Yes.
Congrats to her.
Rock star. That is so very, very cool.
All right, Alana, final look at the forecast.
Speaking of cool, how about some temperatures? It's going to be below average in tomorrow. Hey, you're looking at the radar. We've got rain in northern Utah. I know. The golfer. The golfer's going to boo me. Big surprise. I got a cold front coming through. It's going to switch over to snow, folks. Heavy mountain snow expected. Temperatures are going to be way below average tomorrow. I know. Remember Friday when we hit 76?
Seriously.
A high of 41 tomorrow with snow showers, 56 in St. George.
I was golfing in shorts on Friday.
I know. It's like such a distant memory
But then
now.
Saturday it was super windy.
This is what you get when we're all back at the desk. A real close view.
Yeah, thank you, Alana. Stay on top of all your local news. Head to our website, abc4.com. See you at 10 o'clock.